Hey everyone, it's Eric here. Welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 must-have plugins. Alright, wasting no time, in number 1 slot we have the FabFilter Pro Q3. This plugin is the cleanest EQ that I've ever used and that I've ever heard of. It has many bands and it can do lots of things such as dynamic EQing, expanding or compressing. You've got all your different filter types, bell, low shelf, some high pass, low cut, high shelf, notching, band pass. I've never actually used a band pass. It's got the tilt as well, a tilt shelf, and a flat tilt, which is great. And you've got all these different options for the slope of your filters. So here's a 24 decibel per octave, 96 from 12 to 96 here, and the low pass and high pass filters. They even have brick wall here. And to me, to my ears, it's one of the cleanest kind of filters I've ever heard. I haven't really come across any major artifacts or major phasey artifacts, even if you use really steep slopes for the filters. But yeah, one of the most helpful things I've found is the analyzer. You can have, I don't have any audio in this session. Actually, let's pull up a click track. So you guys can't hear it because I haven't routed the audio from Pro Tools to this video, but here's the click, and you've got a frequency spectrum analyzer here, so you can see exactly what's happening, the signal. Here I've got the I believe this would be the pre-EQ, and then say I'm boosting the fundamental here, which is around 200 Hertz, and you can see this white outline and then the sort of grayed out area below, and that's the difference. The white outline is your post EQ and the grayed out area is your pre EQ, so you can see in real time the changes that you're making and what you're doing, and it's especially helpful in knowing where you need to place your filters, your high pass filters, as well as doing some surgical EQ, which this plugin is very good at doing. You can see exactly what you're attenuating or boosting, and it's got many different options. It's very user friendly and very ergonomic. You can use your mouse scroll wheel to affect changes. You can put things in your, you can type with your keyboard if I want +9 dB, or if I want, -9 dB, type it in, there it is. Change the Q factor here. You can also do things here, double click, say it's +4.5, change the frequency, the band Q to, or whatever. Do all sorts of things with it, and it's very user friendly, and it allows you to make really quick EQ moves, which is essential in maintaining a fast workflow and getting things done so your ears don't tire of the same thing. So that's the FabFilter Pro Q3. Best digital clean EQ in my opinion. Would highly recommend everyone try. Alright, in number 2 spot, the FabFilter Pro C2. Now, this is also a feat of engineering by the guys at FabFilter. Again, I'll use the word clean to describe it. It's a really clean digital EQ. It allows you to do lots of things that I guess are necessary in this modern DAW dominated workspace. It's got look ahead. It's got super fast attack and release times, auto gain, this hold function. You can change the knee. It has some graphs that shows you you know, the knee, like if I change the knee here, no, the knee here, why isn't that showing up? Okay, I don't know why it's showing up. Maybe it needs audio, a signal to pass through it. Oh no, the ratio is at 1. There we go. So if I change the knee to softer, you can see that knee moving. If I harden it up, you can see it hardening up there. The threshold, you can see this sort of cross is the target threshold, and then you can see the audio going up and your compression going down. So once again, let's pull up a master fader and put a click track through it and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. You can see the threshold, the signal is going above my threshold, so you can see compression is happening. Got a ratio about 3 to 1. And here's your compressed signal. You got the meters on the left, there's the input gain. On the right, there's the gain reduction, and on the right again is the output. So it's a really handy tool to see the amount of gain reduction, and you can compensate using this wet gain knob to kind of compensate for the peak reduction. Slow up the attack, quicken the release. You know, you can do lots of things. Parallel compression. You have some sidechain filters here, so you can filter out some lows or some highs, or put a kind of a bell filter to make sure you're only compressing. I mean, the compressor is only being triggered by mid frequencies or whatever you like to do here. And obviously your external sidechain if you so wish to do that. Yeah, one of the best things about this plugin is just how clean it sounds, and the kind of features that are almost necessary for a modern workflow. So that's the FabFilter Pro C2. Okay, number 3 spot. To no one's surprise, it's another FabFilter plugin. FabFilter Pro L2. Amazing limiter. Again, super clean limiter, and one of the most clean limiters I've ever used, and well, actually the cleanest limiter I've ever used. You can push the gain and reduce the peaks by even up to 6 dB, and you'll be hard pressed to find any digital artifacts or any distortion happening. And if you do, just tweak the attack and release knobs until that disappears, and it usually works really well. This is your go-to workhorse compressor, and it is your best friend in mastering. It's got some oversampling options. If you wish, you can do 32 times. I typically don't. I typically use 2 times or 4 times. Turn on true peak limiting to make sure that nothing goes beyond your output, which I've set at -1 dBTP. Dither, you've got some options. If you choose to dither, you have some noise shaping options. You have some great meters here. I've set this to the integrated LUFS. So after I've run through the entire song one time, it will show me the integrated LUFS. You can set this to momentary, short term, or whatever. You can also set targets. Streaming's -14. Here, there's another stream +9. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, this gain knob that you can drag up and down and even click to specify the amount of gain you want added, it's directly linked to the LUFS. So for example, if you were looking for let's say -14 LUFS, and you played through your song in the limiter and you had this set to gain of 2, and your LUFS ended up being -16, all you have to do is add the amount of gain, that's the difference, add or subtract, the amount of gain, that's the difference between your LUFs that you currently have and the target LUFs that you want. So if I had -16 here and I wanted -14, I would add 2 to this knob. You just type 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. So you add 2 more decibels of gain, and if you play it through again, it will be -14. So this gain knob is 100% linked, kind of, you know, tied causally to the amount of LUFS you have. So that's a really useful tool, and it allows you to be really precise with the loudness that you have your master or your mix at. So that's that. I'll just show you, I've got this on the click track master again. So there's my click. You have some lovely meters as well that shows your peaks and your long-term loudness here. You can see this scrolling graph, how much the peaks are being reduced. If you have louder ones, it will show the loudest ones. It won't show ones, you know, softer than the loudest one you've been to. And then up here, you've got your gain reduction meter as well. Here you've got your ceiling -1 dBTP. Yeah. And you can really clearly see what's going on. You can see that it's calculating the LUFS as well. Just amazing, all round, clean, workhorse limiter. And I 100% again recommend it for anyone who needs a limiter. Like it's the best limiter that I'm aware of. Certainly the best limiter I've ever used. All right, number 4 spot. We have the standard clip. All right, I'll go ahead and chuck that on the master bus again. This is a really great workhorse clipper. I've tried a couple of them. This is the one I liked best. It has this meter that shows, I think it's called the oscilloscope. You can set it to show input or output plus reduction. In that case, it will show your output in a white waveform and your reduced peaks in red. So you can see very clearly the difference between your input waveform and the output. And the output waveform as well. And it's quite satisfying to see the peaks being shaved off and your waveform becoming more kind of fatter, for want of a better word. I will play the click through this again. So you can see here's my click. I've got some presets set for me already. I like the Soft Clip Classic. You can also try the Soft Clip Pro, but that adds like a compressor to it. I don't really like it. Hard clip as well. I don't know what this ratio 2:1 does. I assume it's like some compressor, but I just have it basically on Soft Clip Classic because it just does the clipping. It doesn't do anything else for me, and that's what I want. If I wanted a compressor, I'd reach for a compressor. But let's just drag this down until we see some action happening. Okay, so my click is really tiny, but you can see the output click is in white and the red indicates the peaks that have been shaved off the clip. So the original input waveform is the red plus white and the output waveform is the white only. I use this very conservatively. I would recommend only having like maximum 2.5 to 3 decibels of peak reduction, and you can see that up here. Like you can see the max peak input and the max peak output, and you have to subtract the bigger one, not necessarily the bigger number from the smaller one, but you have to get the difference, and I would recommend the difference. You set your clipper to have the difference maximum 3 dB. Okay, any more and you will get artifacts, and it will be distortion and it won't be pleasant, and the distortion will be very noticeable. Even if you say, for example, have a peak on the very left channel, the clipper will work in stereo and it will clip that peak but then you'll hear the distortion in both the left and the right channels. So you don't want to abuse this clipper. You just want to go for maximum 2.5 to 3 dB, depending on the material. I typically like to only have about -1.5 to -2 dB of gain reduction with this clipper. Otherwise, you notice it, and when you notice it, it doesn't sound very nice at all. One thing I wish this plugin would do is kind of show you the gain reduction, the amount that has been shaved off each of these peaks in a single number, instead of us having to subtract or add or kind of calculate the difference ourselves, which is kind of annoying when you want to work fast, having to either, find the difference mentally or grab a calculator. It just kind of kills the workflow. So I really wish they would show. I know that this thing here, this level meter thing here, shows your gain reduction, but it's not that easy to read, Like, you can set it to different things. Okay, I'll set it to -6. Yeah, you can see it, but you have to kind of squint to see this number as being -2, and then you see this one as what? I can't even read that properly. Might be my resolution, but this, I would say, is a healthy amount of gain reduction for the peak. It's less than -3 and more than -2, so it's doing a decent amount of clipping, and I would be happy with that. And I can eyeball the max peak here and the max peak here, and I can see that it's round about -2, -3, so I'd be happy with that. Yeah. What else do I have to say about this? Not very much. I'd recommend this, but again, I wish they would show in one easy number, one easy place, how much gain reduction there is in a solid number, like they do with this max peak and RMS, and this max peak and RMS, the input and the output. But other than that, I don't really have much to complain about this. It's a great clipper. I use it on like every master bus. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so number 5. Soothe 2. You can do a lot of things with this. This is one of the plugins that I think, I don't know how I ever made music without it. It just makes everything sound nicer. Everything sounds smoother. I've got some presets that I've made personally for, my masters, soothing some masters, some high-end sizzle, and some some boomy muddiness here in the lower mids. But you can put this on anything you want. It will kind of take away, it will cut in a very transparent way some harsh frequencies, some harsh resonances. And I cannot imagine ever kind of mastering or ever mixing a vocal without it. It just, as I said, it makes everything sound better, and I can't believe I ever made music without it. I wish I had the time, patience, and resources to go back to every single song that I've ever made that didn't have this, like before I had this plugin, and just whack it on, because it will make so much of a difference. You have some really nice quality settings here, where you can have the resolution and the oversampling change depending on whether you're using this in real time or offline. This is a lifesaver in terms of reducing your CPU usage. You can set the settings, say, and mix with it in low oversampling, like 1x oversampling, and relatively low resolution. But then when you're bouncing offline, or when you're committing things offline, you set it to higher oversampling and higher resolution, and it will make sure that it captures the best or a higher quality than when you were using in real time. So it's great. You've got your typical attack and release settings, mix knobs, trim for the output. I don't have very much to say about it other than you just put this on any and every track and it will make it sound smoother. It will make it sound nicer and less harsh, and more pleasant to the ear. So 100% recommend this. Yeah, I cannot live without this. Yeah, that's it. That's it for number 5. That's it for all of them, I suppose. Thanks so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next one and take care. Cheers.